So when it comes to diet and varicocele, you gotta realize that yes, a healthy diet in general is beneficial and is pretty much the ideal case for varicocele. But actually, most of us don't even realize what a healthy diet means or entails. It's actually a lot more complicated than you realize. And if you have a varicocele, you have to manage your diet, your bowel health, and pretty much the things that go in your body as food, hydration, whatever. You have to manage these about 3 times better than most people do. And when it comes to diet, again, most people don't realize that it's a lot more complicated than you think. Some people say weight loss is about calories, how many calories you take in and how much you burn, right? How much you eat and how much you exercise, pretty much. But that's not the reality. Weight loss is not about that. Having a healthy diet is a lot more complex than people realize these days. If I just go to make a list for you, it's about what you eat. What you eat is super critical. It's like you eat shit versus you eat high quality food, right? There's a big difference, right? What you eat matters. So it's not just calories. What you eat matters. Do you eat digestive enzymes to help break down your food better, right? Like when you marinate meats, you marinate with honey, you marinate with onion, you might marinate with ginger, right? These things help break down proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, makes it easier to digest. How many calories you eat is also something that's important, right? Probiotics, fermented food, alkalization, sugar intake, glycemic index of the food that you're eating. That means how fast the sugar hits your blood. The carbohydrate load of what you're eating, right? The mixing different colors so that you get a good array of different vitamins and minerals, right? And managing your micro and macro balance. Eating organic makes a big difference, especially for varicocele. A lot of the foods that you're eating these days, they have pesticides, they're genetically modified, and these things and the chemicals that they add to them, these things are going to be hard to digest. They're going to cause inflammation, and they're going to cause toxicity. That's not good for varicocele. It's not good for fertility. So we can do a lot better. And if you just keep going, it's like food processing. Do you process your food so that it's easier to digest, so that it's healthier for you, right? And a simple example of food processing is skinning an apple and then eating the insides. Sure, some people say that the skin has more vitamins, but maybe it's more important to be able to digest the apple properly. And the skin, if it's non-organic, don't eat the skin. Why would you eat the skin? It has pesticides. It's genetically modified to be resistant, right? To weather conditions, genetically modified to be resistant to pests. And then you eat it, it's just not going to process or digest properly. It's going to be toxic for you. So you have to process your food. You have to process your meats. Especially if you don't get the best cuts of meat, you have to process them so that they're easier to break down and digest, right? If you're ever getting constipation, that's terrible, right? So that's another thing you have to manage, fiber intake. What types of fiber are there? There's different types of fiber. There's fiber that increases volume of stools. There's fiber that increases how fluid your stool is. There's some that makes it more sticky. Some food makes your stool more sticky. So managing your stools, that's another part of diet, right? Minimizing excessive toxicity, right? Some foods you eat have higher toxin loads. For example, there isn't banana eating competitions because if you eat too many bananas in a row, you could die, right? You shouldn't eat too much seeds at once. Seeds have high toxin loads, right? Like cashews or sunflower seeds, these have high toxin loads. You have to also manage your gut bacteria, right? What type of bacteria do you have growing in your gut? If you eat more vegetables, you have more bacteria that grows in your gut that breaks down vegetables. If you eat more meat, you have bacteria that grows in your gut that is meat eating, and that's not necessarily good for you, right? And are you managing that bacteria? Are you allowing it to overflourish, right, by having high sugar loads? Or are you keeping it in a good load by having detoxifying food like ginger tea, cauliflower, leafy green, dark leafy green vegetables that prevent excessive bacteria from growing your body, right? So, and then when you're looking at it, then you're like, okay, that's just diet. But diet is, and what you eat is more than that. It's about how much you eat. What's your portion size? How frequently do you eat? Do you have fasting periods, right? Diet is even more than that. It's how you eat, how much you chew. For how many times you chew your food is important, right? How much of the load are you putting on your stomach versus your teeth, right? What time you eat is important, right? So you have to pay attention. It's more than just calories in and exercise. It's a lot more. It's a lot more than this. And you gotta realize like, if I can talk about this all day, it's easy to break down, right? But if you're not refined and educated about this stuff, then it's gonna affect your stomach. It's gonna affect the toxin load in your body, and this leads to increased varicocele swelling size, and it's a risk factor for infertility. So we have to do better. That's it.